In the last episode of this series, we looked at the idea of walking without bending your knees. If you tried it out, you likely found it a bit awkward and maybe even difficult to achieve. This is because most people have a habit of sending their knee forward first when they walk. Doing that will of course cause you to bend your leg significantly. That is, however, how you would have to walk if you are not getting your fascia taut and slightly going up on your toes. If your starting posture is to have your pelvis tipped forward and down, the only way to swing your leg is to shorten it. Otherwise, it would scrape the floor. So most people shorten their leg by bending their knee forward, then subsequently kicking their foot quickly forward to land with their heel out in front of them. We've already looked at the idea of moving the torso first in walking, and making the swinging leg the strong leg. That is, the swinging leg should land under the torso and not in front of it. If you refuse to bend your knee, you can't go into your familiar habit of walking. You can't send your knee forward. So here's an idea we can add to this. We want to accelerate the heel faster than the knee. Still, you need to make sure your torso is moving first, but then give yourself the directions to keep your knee back and to accelerate your heel forward instead. When you land, your swinging foot should land under your torso, not in front of you. Again, this will feel very odd at first, and might make you feel like you're lumbering along. Remember, we're trying to relearn how to walk. F.M. Alexander always talked about his system as one of re-education. You probably don't remember how you learned to walk, because that occurred when you were a toddler. But when you were learning to walk, you fell a bunch. You didn't just start gracefully strutting along. Similarly, if you have not been using your fascia and musculature properly for many years, trying to walk properly is going to force you to use muscles in ways that you're not used to. Naturally, that will mean that your walking will not be at first smooth. It will be uneasy. You're going to be a toddler again. Embrace that. Experiment. And don't give up after trying it once or twice. You didn't give up after falling as a toddler, so don't give up just because your first attempt is a bit awkward. An idea we're going to explore going forward in this series is how to really use the legs as springs. Because when your fascia is taut, it functions much like a loaded spring. Bending your legs the way that people commonly do removes the tension from the spring in your leg. So instead of bouncing along on springs, you're carrying and heaving your legs to walk. The common bending of the knee is also going to lead to overflexing of your hip joint, meaning you're going to end up with your pelvis tipping forward and down. Really, the only way to keep your pelvis upright while walking is to stay on top of your extended legs, to stay on top of the springs. In order to extend the legs, we can remember the directions we've looked at earlier in this series and in the earlier series on the legs. We want to pull the greater trochanter on the outside of the upper end of the femur forward, while pulling the inner condyle on the superior part of the knee back and out. At the ankle, the outer malleolus can be pulled forward and the inner malleolus back, while the heels are kept apart. We want due abduction of the thighs, which means widening the insides of the thighs apart more quickly at the back than at the front. These directions will help stiffen the legs and feet so that you can efficiently propel yourself while walking. See if this helps you to prevent the knee from bending forward and to accelerate the heel faster than the knee. In the next episode of this series, we'll get to the crux of changing your walking by looking at a concept that some people have called impossible. It's something that I thought was impossible when I was first shown it too. So try out what we looked at today. Then join me next episode if you'd like to do the impossible.